Let me ask you something, have you felt it too? The silence before the storm, the confusion spreading faster than truth itself. People are losing faith, not in each other, but in the very idea of what built this nation. This isn't something that's coming someday, it's happening right now. The decline doesn't start with broken buildings, it starts with broken values, and if we don't face it head on, we won't recognize the country we once called home. Comfort is the silent killer of progress. It doesn't shout, it whispers, promising ease, safety, and satisfaction, while slowly draining our hunger to grow. The truth is, comfort has made us weaker. People no longer chase greatness, they chase convenience. Every generation that came before us built something stronger because they understood the price of struggle. They worked harder, slept less, and believed more. Today, we want results without resistance, success without sacrifice, and respect without responsibility. That's not how greatness is earned. When life becomes too comfortable, we stop pushing boundaries. We stop learning, we stop evolving. The muscles of our mind and spirit atrophy just like the body does when it's not trained. The easy path may feel good now, but it costs us later in discipline, in purpose, and in pride. The problem is not technology, wealth, or privilege. It's the mindset that says, I deserve it without effort. Comfort has become our addiction, and every addiction steals freedom. If you look around, the signs are everywhere. People give up the moment things get hard. They scroll instead of study, complain instead of create, and settle instead of strive. But real strength comes from doing the uncomfortable. Every breakthrough in human history came from someone who refused to stay in their comfort zone. Growth only happens in resistance, whether it's lifting weights, building a business, or fighting for your dreams. So when comfort calls, remember it's not your friend. It wants you calm, compliant, and forgetful of your potential. The moment you start choosing discipline over ease, struggle over shortcuts, and focus over distraction, that's when transformation begins. Because comfort may make life easier, but it will never make it meaningful. Everywhere we look, there's a storm of noise, news channels shouting over one another, social media feeding outrage, and people choosing sides before they even understand the story. Division has become the new entertainment, and anger has turned into a form of identity. We've forgotten that disagreement doesn't have to mean destruction. The real danger isn't that people argue, it's that they no longer listen. When voices stop hearing each other, hearts stop connecting. And when connection dies, a nation starts to fracture from within. We've been conditioned to see one another as enemies rather than fellow citizens. Every post, every headline, every conversation seems designed to make us pick a side and fight. But a country doesn't survive on sides, it survives on shared purpose. The loudest voices in the room often come from those who benefit from chaos. They feed on division because unity would expose their weakness. The real heroes are not the ones shouting the loudest, but the ones who have the courage to stay calm, to think, to seek truth even when it's unpopular. It takes real strength to listen in a world that only wants to scream. Unity doesn't mean agreement on everything. It means respect even in disagreement. It means finding common ground without losing your principles. Division makes people emotional, but unity makes them powerful. When people come together around values instead of vengeance, that's when change begins. So the next time you hear the noise, pause. Ask yourself who benefits when you're angry. Ask yourself if you're building something or breaking it. Because no nation ever falls when its people stand shoulder to shoulder. But every nation crumbles when its citizens forget that they're all on the same team. We are living in an age where image has replaced integrity, and popularity often matters more than principle. The world rewards visibility, not virtue. People want to be seen, not to stand for something. In this pursuit of attention, we are slowly losing our sense of character, the inner foundation that defines who we are when no one is watching. The problem isn't ambition or success, it's the emptiness that comes when success is built without values. Strength without character is like power without direction. It destroys everything it touches, including the one who holds it. History teaches us that every great civilization, no matter how strong, eventually falls when it forgets its moral compass. When fame becomes more important than honesty and convenience replaces courage, the fall is inevitable. We start celebrating people for what they have instead of who they are. We admire appearances instead of actions, and slowly the soul of a nation begins to rot from within. The walls may still stand, the lights may still shine, but the spirit that made it great starts to fade away. Character is not built overnight. It's built in silence in small moments when you choose honesty over comfort, discipline over desire, and truth over popularity. It's forged in the decisions no one else sees. The world needs fewer influencers and more examples, people who lead not by words, but by integrity. Because character doesn't need an audience. It speaks through consistency, humility, and courage. If we want to rebuild strength, it must start there within each of us. Before we conquer challenges outside, we must conquer the weakness inside. The question isn't what the world thinks of us, it's what we stand for when the world isn't watching. Everyone talks about change, but very few are willing to take responsibility for it. People wait for leaders, systems, or miracles to fix their problems, forgetting that every great transformation begins within. Responsibility isn't punishment, it's empowerment. The moment you take ownership of your actions, your choices, and your future, you stop being a victim and start becoming a creator. It's easy to complain, to point fingers, to say it's their fault. But every second spent blaming someone else is a second wasted that could have been used to build something better. When you accept responsibility, you take control back from chaos. You stop waiting for perfect conditions because you understand that progress begins with effort, not excuses. Responsibility gives you focus, direction, and strength. It reminds you that your life is not defined by what happens to you, but by how you respond to it. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity when you realize that you have the power to act. That mindset builds leaders not just in politics or business, but in families, communities, and everyday life. The greatest nations are not built by governments alone. They are built by citizens who take responsibility for their work, their character, and their contribution. The foundation of freedom is responsibility, because without it, freedom turns into chaos. When people stop caring, when they stop holding themselves accountable, everything starts to crumble from the inside. True responsibility means doing what is right even when it's hard, showing up even when no one notices, and staying consistent even when it's inconvenient. It's not about control, it's about courage. Courage to lead yourself before you lead others. The moment you embrace responsibility, you discover that the power to change your world was never out there, it was always within you. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality, and it is the one thing most people avoid because it demands consistency, patience, and sacrifice. We live in a world that glorifies shortcuts, instant results, quick fame, and easy success. But the truth is, anything gained without discipline is lost just as quickly. Discipline is not a restriction, it's a form of freedom. It gives you control over your impulses, direction over your life, and power over your outcomes. Without discipline, even the strongest talent fades. With it, even the smallest effort turns into greatness. When you practice discipline, you train your mind to lead instead of follow. You become the master of your emotions, not their prisoner. You learn to do what needs to be done, not just what feels good in the moment. That's what separates achievers from dreamers. The disciplined person doesn't wait for motivation, they act despite the lack of it. They know that consistency builds confidence, and confidence builds success. Discipline is what allows you to keep moving when excitement fades and challenges rise. The same truth applies to nations. A disciplined society becomes unstoppable. When people value hard work, punctuality, honesty, and accountability, progress follows naturally. Every strong nation in history was built not on comfort, but on commitment. When citizens lose discipline, the structure weakens, productivity drops, values erode, and vision disappears. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's waking up one more time, trying one more time, believing one more time. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you build strength that cannot be taken away. It is the foundation of all greatness, personal, professional, and national, because when discipline becomes a habit, success becomes inevitable. The future doesn't belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who prepare, who adapt, and who lead with purpose. The time for complaining about what went wrong is over. What matters now is what we build from here. Every setback carries a seed of possibility, and every challenge is a chance to rebuild stronger than before. Looking backward only traps us in regret. Looking forward gives us direction. The vision ahead must be driven by courage, not fear. Fear divides, but vision unites. When people share a common goal, when they believe in something larger than themselves, transformation begins. Rebuilding doesn't start in government halls. It starts in homes, schools, workplaces, and communities. It starts when people choose to act with integrity, to lift others, and to believe that progress is possible even in chaos. The power of a nation lies in its people, ordinary individuals who dare to dream and work together. That's how revolutions are born, not from anger, but from belief. The question isn't whether the nation can rise again, but whether its people still have the will to make it happen. We need to inspire the next generation not with fear of failure, but with faith in potential. They must see that the greatest battles are not fought on battlefields, but within the fight between doubt and determination, between giving up and going on. The vision for tomorrow must be one of unity, resilience, and purpose. It's not about rebuilding what was lost, but reimagining what can be. This is the moment where every action counts, where every voice matters. The future isn't something we inherit, it's something we create. And the strength of a nation's tomorrow depends on the courage we show today. Everything we've talked about, comfort, division, character, responsibility, discipline, and vision, comes down to one truth. The strength of a nation is the reflection of its people. No government, no leader, and no system can save a country that refuses to save itself. The real power has always lived in the hands, hearts, and habits of ordinary citizens who decide to do extraordinary things. The battle isn't out there, it's within us, between weakness and will, fear and faith, excuses and action. The moment we reclaim that inner strength, everything begins to change. The warning signs are already here, but so is the opportunity. Every era that seemed lost was rebuilt by those who refused to give up. This is not the fall of a nation, it's the test of its soul, and every test, when faced with courage, becomes the birth of a new beginning. The question is, will we step up or stand by and watch? Start where you are. Do what you can. Lead by example in your home, your work, and your community. Turn frustration into fuel and doubt into determination. Be the kind of person who doesn't wait for change, but becomes it. If you see division, bring peace. If you see weakness, bring strength. If you see apathy, bring action. This is not a time for comfort, it's a time for commitment. Every choice you make either strengthens or weakens the future. Choose wisely, choose courage, choose to rise. Thank you for listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Thank you for caring enough to reflect, to question, and to believe that something better is still possible. Remember, the story of this nation isn't finished yet, and you are part of the next chapter. So go out there, stay strong, stay disciplined, and never stop believing in what's worth fighting for. Because this moment is where the comeback begins.